location in Palm Springs.
Yay.
And you're probably asking, where are the palm trees? Where's the pool? And it's hot outside. So
We're inside.
we're indoors. So we're here with entrepreneur Karena Higgins. Welcome.
Hi.
And we're going to be talking about her journey to entrepreneurship and really the different paths that she's taken. So welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be very off the cuff today.
Is it? Okay. I'm excited.
All right. So, Karena,
I'm ready.
let's get serious.
All right, Anna.
You are the HBIC of
You guys can Google that.
of Pig Parts and Beer and Swirly Celebration.
Yes.
What
I
is
am.
HBIC?
Head babe in charge. Maybe some other people might use a different another word, but yes. So yeah, I'm the owner, creator, member,
Janitor.
everything. Yeah, accountant. Janitor.
Yeah, how many hats?
Yeah, a whole bunch of hats for Pig Parts and Beer and Swirly Celebrations, which is the newest of the
newest
entrepreneurial endeavors. Yeah.
Quite so many. So let's
Yeah,
start.
there's a few.
Yeah.
There's a few.
You have many under your belt.
Yeah.
Let's actually start with the very beginning.
Oh.
How did you end up in entrepreneurship back in the day? I know the thought bubble comes up.
Yeah. Okay, I come from a very entrepreneurial family of a lot of women, Filipino women. My mom's Pinay. And they, growing up, I grew up in a business. So my parents, my mom and her sisters, they owned home cares. So very healthcare, homes for the developmentally disabled, and we lived in our business. So I was in it, so I saw business 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
I
when you
lived
were really
business
young.
24 hours a day. My mom's business, but I understood kind of what a real entrepreneur, business owner, I don't know if entrepreneur was so buzzy back then, but what it took to own your own business. Like it didn't stop.
Right.
So you like well, it should stop, but but my parents didn't really stop. So like that's what I understood of it. I mean, it afforded you a lot of freedoms, but it also afforded not a lot of freedom. I mean, you are the person. So
You're living, breathing your business.
Yes.
Right?
So I grew up in that kind of environment, and then always pushed a lot of school. Like go to school. So okay, I'll go to school. And then I didn't.
What did you study? Did you study business?
No, I didn't. At Cal State LA, woo woo. I studied, actually I studied film and TV and radio. I know, right? And I wanted to be the anchor on TV. And my mom
Oh my gosh,
I know.
it's
And my
happening
mom
right
was
now.
like, "You're going to be like Connie Chung," or like, and I was like, "Oh my god, okay." And so I was going to do that, and I had gotten into a lot of that, and I did a little here and there. But then I went back to school again, and I did design. I actually always loved art and design, but I didn't think it could be a business. That's the thing.
It was a hobby. It's
right,
a creative.
culturally, it's like, oh, it's creative. What are you
Yeah.
going to do with that? And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay. Well, then let me go get a job real quick.
Yeah.
But I did definitely. I was like, well, I gotta make it. Like, I don't want to work for anybody. I mean, I would work here and there for people, but always work for my mom too. And it was just like, I'm gonna like do my own thing, I think.
Yeah.
So,
but that's kind of funny that there's like an acceptable form of business. I mean, I'm sure if it was
Yes.
like, I run my own accounting practice,
Yes.
I'm a lawyer, I have my own practice as a lawyer,
Yeah.
those things would be okay.
Right.
But this creative endeavor.
yeah. We talked about that briefly before, positive stereotypes. Like, there's a stereotype in our culture of, what you're going to end up doing or what's safe or what's good to do. And they're not bad. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a nurse and a doctor or
Right.
an accountant. But you can do other things, they're not impossible. And if your passion is somewhere else, you can do it. I don't, but I think it's like your parents want safety
Sure.
and like security for
Sure.
you. So they've never, maybe in their world, it was like, that's like, oh, what? That's not the way to go. But now, maybe a little different, especially now, like everybody wants to be an entrepreneur,
And a
right?
creative, right? Well,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a big buzzword, the creative, the entrepreneur. I don't know if everybody's got it. You got to have a lot of, I think it's a lot about managing problems, problem solving. So if you don't know how to do that and you can't get through that,
then it's not a business. It's just a creative hobby.
Yeah, it's just like a hobby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that really is what it is. You're just like putting out, I mean, it sounds cliche, like a lot of fires, I guess. Or like always figuring out like how you're going to get through that moment. Because it's not smooth. Even the best plans are, they're challenging. Because you thought you laid it out well, and then you're like, oh no. Yeah. So, and is it gonna like defeat you, or are you gonna move on? And you have to know when to cut your losses too.
Right.
It's a lot of decision making.
Yeah, that's something that I think from episode 2, we talked about, like when to actually leave, not only because you're cutting your losses, but also you might be tired of this business and it's feeling like another 9 to 5.
Yeah, when you lose the joy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If it's not your passion anymore, and not everybody can do that. You know, they haven't set themselves up for that, or they have other priorities. Totally understandable.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that and you really want to go with your passion, and then you get into business and you find like it's like 90% drudgery and 10% you're like, okay, it's sort of there. I mean, it might not be for you. But so that's how I started off in a family that had a lot of entrepreneurs. And then I went to school and I worked in radio and TV and film because that's what I thought I wanted to do. Went back to school again for design. So I went to UCLA for architecture and interior design, and I've always loved it. I love designing and designing experience for people, or an experience that maybe I don't
Like a founder experience?
maybe. Yeah. Do that in there.
I mean, just put that on the list.
Yeah, exactly. And and then I started getting very more particular about it. I've always had love for my culture, my mom's culture particular, because that's what I grew up with. And I always thought it was missing. Like, here in the United States, or even in California, just let's go down into like smaller. I was like, I knew that it was like, it's lovable, the culture, like it should be out there more and promoted more, but it wasn't. And I saw other cultures coming up, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute, what? Where are the Filipino restaurants at? Where is your products and this and that? I only knew within our community, like what was around. And I was like, but it could be more, I don't want to say the word mainstream, but it could be more streamlined. And I just felt like it was missing. So I started going really into that direction as well.
Around when was this?
I would say, okay, I got my design degree, and then I realized I hated working for people.
Well, when you grow up,
not
being in
working
an
for somebody.
setting.
Every time you do it, it's like, oh, but that's not true, because my cousins grew up same exact kind of thing, and they're not entrepreneurs. They're definitely in like very good like jobs, careers, stuff I'm sure they're passionate about. But for me, I ended up, okay, I get the degree, I work on a few houses here or there and do this. But I was like, you know what? I know the vision I want. So I was like, down the street from my house was this building. It was a small little commercial building. There was a restaurant in it at the time. It was a Filipino restaurant. Well, anyways. And I thought it could be so much better. And I was like,
with the design.
Yeah, just like that was the thing.
Aesthetics.
It was like the thing that I felt that was holding back a lot of things in every culture. I mean, in everything. It's your presentation. People see with their eyes first.
It's the packaging, right?
It's a lot of packaging and marketing. Unfortunately, it is. I mean, you present something janks, everybody's like, and
first impressions.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I end up being able to secure this little commercial building. I have real estate in my background anyways, like with my family. So I've already done a little property owning. So this was my first foray into it, and I was just like, okay. I mean, long story short, basically that restaurant ended up not being there anymore, and I took the building and designed it and like kind of just refreshed it, rebuilt the entire kitchen. I wasn't actually going to even open a business, and this is 2000, and I want to say I started it in 2006, and I wasn't going to open the business part. I was just going to do the design and become
the
like a property manager, like get a good tenant in there to use it and rent it out. But I knew my neighborhood really well, and a lot of people, and I saw it because I would walk the neighborhood and I'd be like, there's nowhere to go around here for good coffee, good cute little this, that, or the other. and I just ended up opening it myself, and I called it Butter Tart.
So you saw the
Delicious,
opportunity.
not nutritious. Yeah. That was our
There's nothing
moniker.
wrong with that.
Yeah. Well, Butter Tart is one of my favorite pastries from Canada, because I'm half Canadian and half amazing, but no, half a Canadian and half Filipino.
100%.
Yeah. So I opened up Butter Tart, delicious, not nutritious, and I opened that in like 2000. Oh my gosh.
So what is this? Do you have any in your fridge right now?
No, I don't. I don't have any, but it was it's like a pecan tart minus the pecans, all the gooey good stuff with the crust.
With like maple syrup or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so I opened this little spot. I had an entire building. But my spot was a fusion of my favorite Canadian, or like treats, but with a little bit of Filipino love in there. That's how it started.
Okay.
So the Butter Tart, the first thing I did was add chopped bacon to it. So we had a regular version, then we had a chopped bacon to it, because I love me some pork.
Yep.
And then we did cupcakes, because that was like when cupcakes started, like the rage of it. And we did a coconut cupcake that was made with real coconut milk. And I was just like, pick up the roots. I was like, yes. And then we did empanadas in the morning, but we made them a little different. We made them with puff pastry, but the inside was like fillings indicative of like Filipino culture.
What was the reception from the
We were
community?
big out, man. We were like on ABC in a weekend in the morning. We were written up in LA Weekly. We were small, but we were quality, not quantity, and we were different. We were different,
unique.
Yeah, we were unique in that way, because it was like, oh, we're not going to serve you like a bagel. Like, that's fine, you can get that down the street, but guess what we're gonna serve you? Spam slider. Oh, we did, and that was our most popular sandwich.
Really?
I mean, people poo-poo at the spam, but I was like, watch, I'm gonna put it on these like haters who are in the closet about their love for spam. They're gonna come out. Yes,
in droves.
This is how delicious it was. Grilled spam on Hawaiian bread.
Oh my gosh.
With
Okay.
like melted cheese. That was our number one seller in the morning.
Well, and I have to say, I mean, that was a time. Now, if you explore any metropolitan city, I think you'll find a lot of options for multi-ethnic, multicultural foods,
Yes.
including Filipino food. And back then, around that time, it wasn't like that.
No.
So you were really pushing the boundaries, but also bringing, like you said, putting in like the aesthetic and the design aspect to it, which is really cool.
I mean, I had gotten inspired. I'd read a couple of blogs, and I remember one blog I saw, like somebody did like a green tea cupcake or matcha something, and I was like amazed. I was like, oh my god, like that's amazing. And now I think about it, it's like how far we've come. But my store was all about that. We played hip hop. People would come in. It was like, get your Biggie on in the morning, get your Tupac on. Like,
I can't even imagine this.
no, it was. I know, right? It was great. It was like what it was, and it was bumping in there. I mean, my staff. I mean, we're still friends to this. I mean, I had a great time in the store, and I love that store. Unfortunately, the recession came.
Yeah.
So the recession came right when I opened. We literally were open for a year. We were, I mean, the weekends, there was a line. I mean, I remember my mom coming, because she hadn't seen it, right? So, like, she'd seen it in the process, and she was like, oh, it's a cute little project of yours. So I was like, okay, Mom. And then one day she came, she brought her homie, her best friend, my aunt, and they came, and I didn't see them for a while, because they were outside in the line. And my mom was like, oh, my God. There's like so many people there.
I know the person behind this. Did she try to cut?
Yeah, and I was like, look, she actually should have, gotten a little, like a
little special treatment.
Yeah, special treatment in the line, but whatever, Mom, stay behind. So you can believe that. Yeah, but she was amazing. Like, she was so happy about it, and not to say I didn't.
You made her proud.
Yeah, like she was definitely proud. She was surprised. I would say that because I think she was just like, what? Like her culture, her old schoolness was like.
That's not a business. Like making.
No, actually, it's more about the food. She was more like, I don't know if people are gonna like.
Oh,
what are you gonna put on the menu?
Yeah, it was almost like her internalized stuff that was coming out, right? Like they don't like us.
You're gonna put a little Filipino food in there?
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
And I was like, yes, I'm positive. I mean, this is I was in Eagle Rock, for God's sakes, which is like
full of Filipinos,
it's
but they weren't able
Filipino
to.
town, OG Filipino town. there's big history behind that. Yeah, I'll Google that.
Yeah.
But
Let's not talk
anyways,
about that.
yeah. So I basically, did that. We did really well. But unfortunately, the recession came, and that's a part of being a business person. You kind of have to pick your battle.
So what was that process like? As soon as you decide, or the recession came, what process did you go through to decide, okay, I think it's time to pivot, or it's time to...
Love that word, pivot.
I know. It's like used
It's
all
what
over
it
the
is
place
right now.
now. It's
Yeah.
buzzy.
Yeah, okay. What did I do? Okay, so remember, I bought the building, right? So
Right.
it's mine. So I'm an owner, and I'm also an occupier. So I'm in
so
there.
did you have this conversation with yourself? Like,
yeah, like, what am I going to do? Yeah.
tenant,
yeah.
you're going to get kicked out
Yeah.
if...
Well, there were other tenants in the building, 3 other ones.
Okay.
But they also were going through the recession too.
Yeah.
So people were leaving left and right. And I understood, because we're in a very difficult time. But for me, it was like I could have kept going. But at that time, you're only open for a year. Even though we were doing well,
Right.
you're not turning profit yet. There lies a good business plan. You do need one. A lot of people, I remember one of my cousins saying, like, that's an old paradigm. I'm like, girl,
How did
what
you
is a
fund
guy?
it,
And
by the way?
I'm like, okay, well, you continue not having a business plan
Yeah.
and not doing anything.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Talked
I'll
about
talk to
this
you.
last
Right,
time
we'll talk to
too.
you, right.
So did you, back then there also wasn't crowdfunding
No.
or
Yeah,
how did you fund your
2006.
business?
Okay, I got a loan. Well, I had real estate and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I banked off of a lot of real estate to also give me credit and loans and help me out.
Some equity.
Yeah. And okay, now everything's like going in the crapper, and you're like, oh my God. And also my tenants were leaving. So I'm like, they were the ones paying that mortgage, right? While I'm doing the business. So now they're donezo, and I'm just like,
Stressful.
yeah, it was very stressful for everybody and everybody around the world, I'm sure. So I had to make a very hard call. Did I want the business or did I want the building? And the other smarter person in me, my heart was in the business, but my head was, if you weren't what are you gonna get? What are you gonna save? And I saved the building instead, because I knew eventually the recession would be over. I knew that
You could
little
ride
building.
that out.
Yeah, I'll try my hardest to ride it out. And that was a hard ride. I definitely I exhausted everything I had in reserves to save that little building.
What was the toughest part of that period for you?
Closing the business, telling my employees that, oh, wow, we're doing well. Yeah, you got to get another job. And they're also in the recession, right? So they're freaking out. Like, where are we going to do that? But it was just like, and I gave everybody as much notice as I could, which was fair. And I think that everybody understood, but it was still like this baby that I created from the ground up, like rebuilt a whole restaurant, laid out the concept, stuck with a very set menu, promoted it as much as I could, hired a very good manager, because I knew like I can't be everything, but I knew if I hired smart, I'm going to be cool. So closing the business was hard, and then finding a tenant to come in and
with
while
enough
in
security,
in
right?
the recession to hold the building.
Yeah.
That was also difficult. Seeing people come in and kind of like interested, not, and I'm like, it's like a brand new restaurant. What the heck?
Yeah.
And then we ended up securing a really, they're a good tenant. They have a very good business. They're very popular even now.
Is it just one restaurant now? One tenant?
It's one full tenant. They eventually, they got a space, and then they took up everybody else's spaces as people left, and, they're still there now, and they're good, and I'm a landlady, and it afforded me to move on to the next project once I got above water.
Let's talk about the next project.
Let's do it. Let me drink this this diet soda. Yeah,
That's
I
right.
might burp on live, but who knows?
It's okay. Like last time I said, we could do and say whatever we want here.
That's
our
true.
show.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it's about. Yeah, so, yeah, that was the first chapter.
Yep.
Right? And those are a lot of good lessons, a lot of hard lessons, but good lessons. And, I mean, I felt like in that time, there was other personal stuff going on too. So it was like, well, a lot of eye-opening stuff. And I think that was the time I really got more confidence, actually. Because I was like, if I can make it through this, getting a restaurant open itself in Los Angeles was like,
feat. Yep.
Yay.
Yep.
But getting that to be safe, the property itself, get people in there, secure that, all that was its own lesson too. So I found this new, like, whatever I do, man, it's not that serious. It's okay. It's life. So I moved on.
I like that. I mean, it gives you not just the confidence to, I think, enter into a new venture, but also I think a lot of things that we hear about entrepreneurship is you can't be afraid of failure, right?
No.
Because that's just going to paralyze you.
Yeah.
And not to say that everything that you go into is going to lead to that, obviously, but that's what keeps you back, I think.
Well, it's how you recover, right? I mean, there's nothing in life. Even
It's
if
so,
you
I know
an
it sounds so
entrepreneur,
cliche.
yeah, but like
it's so true.
Everything in life there's going to be a challenge. How do you recover? I mean, how much time does it take you to recover?
Right.
Because everybody needs downtime and they process and go through things, you know. But are you going to let it take you out, or are you going to like rise? And then also you have to have, I don't want to say thick skin, but you also have to know what's good criticism and not. Like you have to be like, and not get all caught up in your feelings and like, no, everybody's criticizing me. You gotta hear it, like, especially if you have good people. I don't think a lot of people mean to harm you. They want to help, whatever way it looks.
Right.
And sometimes some people have good advice, and some people it's just noise because it's their own fear gonna go to you.
How have you filtered that? How have you deciphered between noise and good advice?
Oh shit. Let me see.
Because I mean, I know when I talk to you too about ideas, I know that there's a lot of wisdom, and you know,
from you to me. Yeah. Let me see. I think as you get older, you also know who your friends are, and you know you have friends that you know they're talking, you know, like,
yeah. Is it about intention, or do you also go off of their own experience, and how do you gauge whether
so, you know, I'll say this. I have one friend of mine who's a business mentor-ish person who there's nothing in it for this person besides to like give me decent advice. But it's definitely always devil's advocate. I mean, he never, I feel like he never is on my side ever. Like, I'm like, why do I call this person up? Like, this is horrible.
He's always pointing out the
holes.
holes.
Always like, but you know, and I'm like, oh, and it makes me really upset. And sometimes I do think his delivery actually is pretty harsh sometimes. That being said, though, always has given me some of the best advice ever, especially for business, because he's in business and he does it every day. He does it from a different point of view, and he has nothing. There's no skin in it for him to talk to me. We're just friends. We work together. He's actually the person that helped me get the building in the first place a long time ago. Okay. So him, and then there are other people. You know, you just want support. You just want to talk. Yeah. And people are just, you know, going to talk to you.
Just bouncing ideas off each other.
Yeah, just bouncing ideas. And sometimes you do need that. Like, you just want somebody to listen to you, like, I don't know. Or like, it's everybody else's fault, not mine. But a lot of stuff is always like personal responsibility, accountability, you know? I mean, that's how I operate, like, most of the time. And it may be blunt and hard to other people, but I mean, in the end, I'm just... your word is the only thing you have, you to yourself or to other people. Yeah. So, right, at the end of the day, if I didn't come through for you or even myself, I look like an a-hole. You know, I look like, oh, all right, flaky, you know. That's it. Like, business is like a blend of all of those things. Like, a lot of truths about, like, and then, you know, you got to cut people. Some people are not meant to be in your life.
How do you do that in business?
Bye, Felicia.
Simple as that.
Well, you just there are a lot of people that talk a good game. Yeah. And there are some people that they have really great ideas too. I won't say that, you know, I mean, sometimes it's not for me. But there's a history, and you'll never know that until you hang around people for a while, and then you see, like, are they coming through? Are they flaky? Are they, you know, and that it's time and a lot of just your own intuition. So go with your gut. A lot of the time. Yeah. A lot of the time, your gut's never wrong. Yeah. Your gut versus your ego is different. Is your ego like, but still, I want to, you know, but is your gut like, yeah, I want to, and when somebody's like, but that, I don't know, and you're like, but still, and you're like,
the resistance.
Yeah. Reluctance, resistance, you're fighting it.
Yeah. All that negative
Just
stuff.
go with the flow. Yeah. Just, all right, that's what I'm going to do. It's not, I mean, it looks easy now, but, you know, like, I'm like,
I cannot know what this
Yeah, I don't know. No, there's no flow.
There's no flow at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about the next venture with there are two,
Yes.
right? And they are a little bit more focused on identity.
Yeah, actually, that's good. That's true. Yeah, I guess I thought.
I mean,
so
a lot
many
of
words,
I,
right?
Well, I mean, a lot of people who are looking to start a business are thinking about their passion, but also about their personal experience, and
Sure.
part of that is going to be identity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what was that for you? How did you get to that point where you felt like, okay, this is the next? I'm confident about this next venture, and this is why.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so we wrapped up the building, we wrapped up that business, everything is like now we're rolling back into like, okay, I
What
can
next?
see the light past the recession, But I actually was a little like, ooh, what am I gonna do? I gotta be a little careful here.
Yeah. Did you want to hang on more
Yeah.
to?
You're careful.
You
You're
don't
like,
want
oh
to
man.
risk as much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started a blog about Filipino food.
And this was year
2010.
Okay.
So remember, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm
You're in the
like
thick of
building
it.
a restaurant, opening a restaurant, running a restaurant, closing a restaurant. Okay, now we're here. So I start. I'm about to burp on air. I held it in for y'all.
It's all good.
So I started a blog called Pig Parts and Beer. I had watched Anthony Bourdain back then, and it was funny. There was a sentence he had said something about there's nothing like pig parts and beer, and I was like, man, that's a good line. Like I was like, that's a
Very visual.
yeah, I was like that it sounds nice. Pig parts and beer, and I was like, I'm gonna start that fresh Filipino flavor. And my intention when I started the blog first was to talk about Filipino food in a loving way and promote it to people maybe who didn't know what it was, even to our own community, to show them there's another way to show your grandma's adobo.
Why did you think that was important?
Adobo. Yes.
Wait, adobo?
Yeah. I got all like your grandma's adobo. Okay.
Your grandma's adobo is so good.
Yeah. Right. But that was my intention because there was always this line of, and it's cultural too, and it's also generational. Everybody in my community and my age range, we knew like what the bomb food is. It's like going home and having some sinigang and some rice, and you're like, so at the party, it's always your lumpia, your lechon, my favorite's dessert. Okay, my ninang made me some bomb leche flan, and I'm like, heart attack, but yeah, I love it. Okay, but then where was it? And then why is it every time I would talk to you about it, maybe a fellow Filipina girl or somebody else in the community, they love it so much.
Yeah.
But then when I mentioned bringing it out into mainstream, they would be like, oh, but
Like shame.
yeah, like almost embarrassment. Like, but that's
You only
for your-
eat that at
at
home.
home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who said that? And I didn't experience that. Like I experienced it, but I didn't understand why there was no fight for it. And I'm a fighter, like naturally. I don't want to always be that way in battle, but like when somebody's like no, I always want to know why.
Yeah.
Like just don't tell me no. Give me a reason. Like and then convince me. Or I'm not that easily convinced.
Did you ask why? Did you?
Yeah, I mean, like if I ask my mom,
Yeah.
to them, I mean, that's a whole other thing about culture, identity, shadeism. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there.
Yep.
But I'll try to put it in. To her, it was like, for her to be in this country, she had to assimilate real quick. And she had to adopt what was acceptable. And to her, that wasn't acceptable outside her house. Other people would probably shame her, notice her, whatever it would be. So let's not bring it outside. Let's keep it at home, safe with us. Part of it's like keep it to yourself too. But she definitely was like, I don't know, that might be unacceptable. And I'm like, why would you be ashamed of like your own food and your own culture? I don't get it. And maybe that's because I'm half. Right? So, but then I also understand the other half, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I still
both
don't get
perspectives.
it.
Yeah.
But that was the running theme, that it was like Filipino food was acceptable at home. It was not for other people, unless they were your close homies, family friends, people who have already been introduced to it. Maybe it was like, yeah, that's cool, that's like you're part of the in crowd. But the weird thing is giving it to the out crowd, you were embarrassed about it, and I just didn't understand that.
So pig parts and beer was a response to that.
Yeah, it was. It was and design wise, because I knew how to design stuff, I know that people experience things visually, right away. So I knew that it had like a little bit of a stigma. There was always a stigma to it. Even when you ask Filipinos, like, oh, but like it's fried, it's so ugly. You don't know how many times people would tell me Filipino food was ugly. I mean, now if you say that, they're like, what? Go check the Instagram. Hello, But how many times people would say it's ugly, and I'm like, I was offended. Like I was annoyed. Like, well, I don't know what Filipino food you're eating, but when I go to an Indian restaurant, it seems to look the same. When I go to, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, I don't understand this own like self-hatred of your own stuff. I just don't get it. So I wasn't trying to hear it no more. That's the right, people chattering and negativity. I was like, don't even want to hear it. I'm just gonna solve it. So I started this blog about it, and and a lot of people didn't know Filipino culture and people are in everything. Especially in California.
Yes.
We're behind the scenes in everything. We touch everything. And a lot of people didn't know some of the business you went to were owned by or what. So I was like, I'm going to highlight chefs and food and businesses about Filipino food culture. And so I did it. And then we did the first ever Filipino food pairing.
Ooh.
So we did Filipino food with our local beer brewery, Eagle Rock Brewery. Very cool. And we did that, and that was 2011.
That was before the whole
Before
artisanal craft
Filipino food
brewery
movement, hashtag Filipino food movement. Before all that, they're cool, but like we were the first ones to do it. Check the Google. So we did it, but there was no everybody wasn't on YouTube and doing everything they do now. We just wanted to, and we got people to come. We sold the tickets. We were on Kababayan. It was a ticketed event. It was beautiful and well thought out. I mean, we had lechon with the Manifesto beer that had hints of like lemon and lime. And it was a great event, and people were like, but it cost a lot of money, and not only that, it takes a lot of effort to put on a very well-run event. So I didn't do it again. Like we did it uno time.
So what did pig parts and beer look like? I mean, the kind of the ecosystem of it. You had the blog.
We had the
you
blog.
Had the events.
We started doing events. We started doing meetups when meetups were still a thing. I have no idea if they're still a thing, but we would. And the meetups were to introduce people to Filipino food. Like some people didn't know, and you go, bring lumpia to the bar and come hang out. And then we made a design, and we put it on a shirt, and it actually became really, really popular.
Is this
Insert design now.
Is this design here?
Yeah, it is
on the
here.
table? Tell us about it.
It's here. It's here.
Okay, why a pig?
Well, why a pig? Guess what? Filipinos like pork.
Yeah, we do.
What is our most cultures like pork?
Our national dish is lechon.
Yeah, or
Isn't
adobo. It's pork adobo. Adobo. And there were so many dishes that featured our little piggy friend that I was like, and this is the time when a lot of butchery was really popular and started getting popular in food. So I said, and I kept seeing like this, like a pig chart with like the flank of the, and I was like, that's not how I recognize.
So these are actually different dishes that you make from those parts.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So pig parts, but they're
Tocino,
actually dishes.
chicharrones,
Yeah.
some crispy pata, which is pork knuckles. It's
Yum.
Yeah. Well, you know what's great is, guess what? You can actually make all those dishes in a fish version or a vegetarian version for my veggie friends.
I love
out
that. Thank you.
there. So we did that, and it sold well, and we did that, and that was cool. And we just started realizing there's a lot more love for Filipino food than we knew. And I had to take a break from it because I ended up doing some other stuff, and I just having to clean up other family business stuff. So I had to take a little break from it. We left it a little, but we're back on Instagram, and now we're actually on Amazon and Etsy. And we sell not the t-shirts, because the t-shirts got a little out of control.
Yeah.
Everybody and their mom wants a different size, different color, everything.
Yeah. So what is that experience like? Because you were, so you started in real estate.
Yeah.
You then started a restaurant. You owned that real estate property. And then you went into the blogosphere.
Yeah.
Which is a completely different animal.
Yeah.
And then from there, you were able to convert that into products, but online products.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Well, online
What's
product,
the difference?
Let me see. The t-shirts, when we first did the blog, that was from us. When we go to events and people would buy it. You know, you had your square and you put it on your phone. You're like, then you realize, like, there's the other thing about being an entrepreneur. You gotta always keep up with your game. Like the business owners that say stale, I mean, you don't fix what's not broke, but also you have to sort of, let's be real, we're in 2000 and something. Everything's on the internet. If you didn't know about Amazon by now or whatever, I mean, I buy stuff from now.
You need to stop watching if
Yeah,
you don't
like,
know Amazon.
Yeah, like, okay, so it was like, and especially us. We're so niche, okay? Everybody had a billion ideas about, oh my God, you should put in this store and that store and this store. It's like, we're not mainstream like that yet. We're not, to other people, I mean, we're normalized. We're normal to everybody else, but we're not, where is Target going to put our shirt? How would we put that in there? Like where?
Target,
what shelf?
you need a multicultural section.
We're gonna go in little boutiques. That's okay. That's fine too. But the way to get it to the masses, where are the masses of people? They're on the internet, whether you like it or not. That is where they are, including me, including you, including everybody.
Well, and that just, I mean, it changes your reach.
Yes.
Right? Like you're not just looking at local stores or local distribution.
I mean, we're shipping stuff to like people in the middle of who knows where, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And that means they're searching for it. And the great thing is, guess what? They're searching for it.
Yeah.
They're searching for their culture and their roots, their what they identify with. Because maybe in the middle of Ohio, they ain't got it.
Yeah.
You know, so guess what? Somebody's gonna deliver it to me for $15.
So how does that feel, knowing that your product is serving this very, very specific need?
I would say it goes along with what I was always passionate about, right? When I bought the real estate, first of all, I knew there was a restaurant in there. Like, it's always been culture. I feel like I'm a culture expert and enthusiast at this point for my own stuff, my experience. But I felt at the very end point, and this is not the end by any means, but now I'm at a point where I feel like I offer your experience, what you experience, not just a general, like, what you need to put on your cake, because we do cake toppers too. Hello, cake toppers, swirlycelebrations.com. But, you know, like the things that are recognizable to you, your family, your community, your world, your friends.
You're facilitating the opposite of assimilation. You're facilitating
whatever the opposite is, the counter.
The acceptance, the self-acceptance.
Yes, all day.
Yeah.
You want to wear a barong Tagalog to your wedding? I have a little dude that is going to be right next to you. Hold him in your hand and love him and be like, yes. Okay, you want to wear the mestiza dress? You want to Imelda Marcos yourself out? Go for it. I don't care. I mean, whatever the history of that is, but like, everybody knows what a Filipino get down looks like. You got big shoulders. Everybody's wearing a sheer shirt. Everybody's rocking and doing some kind of weird line dance. And then, there's a big pig on the table. That's what it is. And I love every single minute of it. Yeah, why not? We have to turn off the AC in here. Now I'm hot as cards.
Whoa, we're getting so fired up here.
Yeah, we are. Along with my body heat is getting fired up too. But,
so that's Palm Springs for you.
Yeah.
So, okay, speaking of which,
yes.
You're here. I mean, we've talked about this a couple of times too. There are opportunities here, right?
In
Palm Springs.
Yes, there are. The mayor definitely loves tech. It's a good city for support if you are an entrepreneur. Guess what? Because everything operates from the internet. Even if you need product and supplies and whatever, you can order it from, you know, those wonderful places we had mentioned before. And real estate, if you're staying in California, you're like 2 hours away from LA, 2 hours away from San Diego, maybe an hour and a half. I mean, and we have an international airport, which a lot of people don't know. It's beautiful. I mean, it's okay. Not gonna lie, it's blazing hot, but summer is hot everywhere. It's not like you're going outside and hanging out in the sun. But I moved out here because I knew I could do everything from the computer. I could get back into LA when need be to check on things.
Right.
And I just thought, culture is not going to stay in one spot now. We're everywhere. Everybody's because of the internet, because of just a push of the generations of like, no.
Yep.
I'm not going to stay in this little pocket. I'm going to be everywhere. That's why I was like, no, okay, we'll be fine.
But are you also looking at opportunities here for non-internet related things?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get back into real estate. I like real estate. I like creating experience for people. So, and that has to do with real estate. So I'm going to definitely, that takes a lot of capital, a good business plan, and a good concept. And now I realize partnering up with good people is also key. You don't always have to do everything alone. That is an entrepreneur's dilemma also. You're so good, sometimes you think you want to do it all by yourself.
Right.
And you're the only person that can execute.
Right.
Yeah, but
so I think that's another thing. Maybe for the next show where we talk about expanding your business, we can talk about choosing wisely, I guess, when it comes to partnerships and collaborations. We're gonna have a part 2? Yeah. I mean, come on. We just started.
Yeah, we did.
So a couple of last questions that we have time for.
Okay.
So this is just
Hurry,
like
go.
fun questions. And okay, what is these are just founder fun facts.
Okay.
Okay. So what's your biggest pet peeve, whether it's business, life, or just in general?
Flaky people.
So we were late today.
No, that's not flake. No, that's not a flake. That's just time adjustment. That's not flake. Trust me,
the time in LA is an hour. I think it's an hour behind.
Flaky people don't like flaky people. I can give you an excuse 1 or 2 times, but once you start wasting my time, I don't like it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Your spirit animal.
My spirit animal? Maybe it's a pig. Baboy. Oink, oink. Okay.
Okay. Last thing is advice to an aspiring entrepreneur. I know that's not really like a founder fun fact.
Yeah, that's like hard. That's a big one.
Yeah.
What's my advice?
So that's our last thought.
Ooh,
advice for an aspiring entrepreneur.
Advice for an
think about
go with your gut. Always go with your instinct.
Okay.
And then do a lot of like research to support what your gut instinct concept is going to be, whatever it is you're going to execute. Always be thorough with your execution. Try to learn something on somebody else's dime if you can. I mean, it's not really shady, it's just smart. Like if you want to open a clothing store, work at a clothing store. You want to open a bakery, work at a bakery. Just that. And wrap your ass up.
Okay, well, we're going to turn on the AC again.
Yes, thank you.
And jump in the pool because it is freaking hot here. What is it, like 110?
It's 105.
All right.
Now.
Well,
but it is July, people.
That means it's still kind of cool.
There's no humidity now, but yeah.
Yeah.
And well, in East Coast, it's going to be like 80, but it's going to feel like drenched, like yuck.
Not complaining. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for letting us invade your home.
You're welcome, Anna Marie. Found her.
Found her.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time on Foundher next Saturday. See ya.